It doesn't surprise me in the slightest that surveys done in US grade schools indicate a remarkably high percentage of students have never heard of the Holocaust. It frightens me, but it doesn't surprise me. In fact, I would bet that there are children brought up in the UK who, having only a passing knowledge of the history of World War II, and for that matter World War One, and how it was a precursor to World War II in terms of treaties laid down and a geopolitical map of Europe redrawn, have no idea how the Europe we planned to leave even came to be in the last century. I don't blame UK educationalists for that matter at all, but the fact remains that under the Tories, history is increasingly taught as a series of dates, battles, names, and places, with little attention given to the outcome of these events on real people. To quote Professor Gradgrind, I love the name, to his class in Dickens's novel Hard Times, "What we want, sir, is facts." In returning us to a similar Victorian times of profit for the select few and penury for the masses, it therefore does not surprise me in the slightest that the Tories don't want people able to learn from history in order to prevent its future repetition. So I suppose it's easier for modern fascism to slip into its friendly guise of alt-right, like a keyboard shortcut, or the Proud Boys, as if nationhood is all about pride, exclusion, patriotism, and naturally defending the homeland. The Nazis called this Blut und Boden, or as the friendly fascists of today are adopting Europe-wide, blood and soil. Strange how the friendly fascists are constantly associating themselves with our people, in German, unser Volk. Sadly, still people expect to see them in their more familiar guise. When Tories attend eugenics conferences, they expect to see science professors and present economic statistics. They don't think back to the Germans in the form of the Nazis invading the universities and using the science of eugenics to wipe out those who were a burden on the state, like the old, the sick, and the disabled. Writing in her book Fighting Fascism in 1923, the academic Zetkin described Mussolini and his Italian fascists. The word actually translates as bundle of lights or sticks. The bigger the bundle, the more it will be seen and the harder it will be to break, as counter-revolutionary. In other words, she saw the fascists as trying to turn back the clock on the revolution and install themselves as controllers, leaders, and representatives of the people. It's interesting that Chaplin, in his magnificent speech in the film The Great Dictator, reminds us that dictators free themselves and enslave the people. Friendly fascism does this as well. It frees the elites to exploit, to loot the lives of ordinary people, to enrich themselves. It frees landlords to rent homes unfit for human habitation. It takes the fruits of labour, indeed the fruits of the earth, which can provide for all, and shares them out amongst the capitalist ruling class and their hangers-on. It takes the power over life-changing decisions that affect everybody and leaves these matters in the hands of billionaire business people, faceless corporations. And all that an elected government can do is pass laws demanded by the corporations and the elite ruling class. In fact, Zetkin in her book insists that it is the capitalist class who inflict the terror of fascism on the people. Look at Nazi Germany and how well companies like BMW, Bayer, Krupp, Mannheim did under the fascists and Hitler. Look at the steel Krupp supplied for the armaments production. Look at chemicals used by IG Farben, who actually had a factory within the wire at Auschwitz. See, of course, the Spielberg film Schindler's List. It is for this reason that Zetkin can write in the same book, and I quote, "It is not the revenge of the bourgeoisie against the militant uprising of the proletariat. In historical terms, viewed objectively, fascism arises more as a punishment because the proletariat has not carried through and driven forward the revolution that began in Russia." And here, for me, this is the most important part, the base of fascism lies not in a small case, but in broad social layers, broad masses, reaching into the proletariat. So, who are those reaching into the broad masses today? Who forms that hand held out only later to enslave the same proletariat? For certain, it's not Yaxley Lenin and his Republican backers. He's a youthful mouthpiece and even a useful idiot. No, the real sinews that drag and operate these finger-like claws belong to mainstream media barons, a distorted press, and corporations who can pump out any narrative they're ordered to by their ruling class masters. So that's friendly fascism. Beware.